I'm Dave Gray, and this week I learned it doesn't matter. I learned nothing. I was trying to pull something out, but I did learn something. Never trust M. Night Shyamalan. Just don't trust M. Night.
It's so weird, Dave, but my opening was an M. Night Shyamalan thing as well. But I'm Tyler
Nice.
Hosley, and this week I learned M. Night really isn't the genius that he thinks he is.
Nope, but let's be fair. Most directors aren't. I mean, to be fair to M. Night, but most also don't go, look at how witty I am every movie.
I'm Kevin Matthews, Scottish film fan living in England, and this week I also learned nothing really, apart from, I had one or two people ask me about my podcast and explained it to them, our podcast, but I had to then say it's not the one called Raiders of the Lost podcast again. Just to say it's Raiders of podcast. What time is it for you guys over there just now?
6:14. Oh, did they get racist again and we get yelled at for it? That happens.
No. It's 6:14 for you guys. It's 11:14 p.m. here in the UK.
Nice.
So people need to understand that that there is sometimes a reason for me sounding punch drunk with sleep and nonsensical, but we do this week in, week out. And we've been going over 7 years, damn it, and that counts for something. And this is Raiders of the Podcast.
Yay!
For the film wise, I've got into this habit of trying to only mark the films when I actually put the full review on my blog. So that's put me a bit back to front. But I rewatched the first two Despicable Me movies, and yet Schindler's List still sits unwatched on my shelves. I'm sorry, but it was just a choice between fun Minions and a fart gun and the horrors of the Holocaust. So I went for the Minions. I enjoyed those. I also watched the Minions movie for the first time, which I enjoyed. So I'm looking to get through the rest of those. I bought like a Despicable Me bundle on iTunes when the latest one came out here. We watched Guest House Paradiso. Have you two watched that film?
Yeah, it's been a minute because that's Rick Mayall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson.
I have not.
And well, I can't recall, like, some Americans love some of their stuff and have seen lots of what they do, including they did a TV show called Bottom, which was quite successful for all. And this is basically a film spin-off of Bottom, although they didn't actually say that, but they pretty much said that. And I remember years ago when I first watched it, I didn't like it, but of course I blind bought the Blu-ray because why wouldn't I? And the Blu-ray's a nice package, and then rewatching the film, I enjoy it a lot more nowadays than I did then. But it's still weird because Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson have this thing of like fake violence against one another and comedy pain. Like that was their thing a lot of the time. If anyone is a fan and wants to dig into this stuff, I may have mentioned this before, but check out the Dangerous Brothers. Just look on YouTube, and it's a special for about 45, 60 minutes, and it's them, and it's brilliant. But the problem with that in a film is, I'm not saying the film is realistic, but things are done to look a bit more realistic because it's a film. So that slightly undercuts the comedy of it. But there is a lot of amusing grossness, and there's a lot more faces I recognise now than when I first watched it. So I did have fun revisiting that. And if you like Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson, then you should really enjoy that. I finally got around to Kinds of Kindness, the Yorgos Lanthimos anthology that is about the most Lanthimos thing that is Lanthimos, and I quite enjoyed that. It's a bit of a step down from his sort of recent past works. I know you really didn't like Poor Things, Dave. So I don't know. You might like Kinds of Kindness. You didn't watch it yet, did you?
No, I was planning on it, but apparently my Hulu expired before I thought it did, so I didn't.
Oh. Yeah, I did really like it, and I forget his the writer that he's worked with for a good long time there. They're very good at making these moments that will make you both laugh and gasp at the same time. There's one moment in Kinds of Kindness that is both the funniest and most twisted thing I've seen. So, like, it surprised a proper gasp laugh out of me, and that for me is a recommendation. Other than that, I think that's it for the movies. I've been watching quite a lot of TV. Season 4 of Only Murders in the Buildings over here. Is that on Hulu for you, or is it Disney Plus?
I think it's on both, but I don't have either.
Right.
So, and I hated season 3, so I'm not going to bother. Woo!
Well, I still recommend it. Oh, did I tell you I'd been watching the series of Time Bandits?
No, how is that? Because
it's very good. I'd heard good things about it, and yeah, I think you might be slightly put off by it being helmed by Taika Waititi.
Well, I'm slightly put off by it all not being, they're all no longer little people, but they're all now normal size and pretty.
But which
kind of under the whole point. But whatever.
It's they get around that. You do still have a couple of characters in there who will remind you of original cast members. They pop up. Lisa Kudrow is in the main Time Bandits gang, and I forget.
It's another reason never to watch it.
Oh, she's quite good at it. I forget his name, but there's the actor who's now like popping up in quite a lot of scenes because he does have the false eye. He's the actor who pops up in Oddity. He might be an Irish actor. He's one of the bandits. I can't remember. There's a girl in there I recognise. The young lad who is a Kevin is very, very funny. And it's good. So I'm glad that I listened to people who'd watched it and said they loved the film, but they enjoyed the series. And it does, once it sets everything up, it's a fun time. So I'm looking forward to the rest of it. But that's it. Movie wise, I've either got stuff pending that I can't recall, or I'm all done.
Yay! I doubt you're all done. You're never all done.
Yeah, I'll remember something when you mention it.
I watched Lady in the Water for the very first time since theaters back in
Why?
2006.
Tyler, you should like yourself more than that. You're a good person.
Look, I hated it then. I think I hate it even worse now. But before I say mean things, I loved M. Night's first 4 movies, especially back in the day. Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, and The Village. I was a huge fan of. I still am, but back when those came out, I was a huge fan of those fucking movies. So I was excited.
I don't want to be Mr. Pedantic, but just, we are a movie podcast, and I can't remember the film he did before The Sixth Sense, but I think he did one, or maybe 2.
Oh, I didn't see that, Rodeo.
Yeah, like Sixth Sense was his big thing. I think he did some little drama before then, but The Sixth Sense was the big name maker for him.
Wasn't like Wide Awake or something. One of them, I think. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
That rings a bell. It could be something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I count Sixth Sense as his first movie because that was the kind of movie that kind of started his career.
Yeah, there's Wide Awake and crap. Praying with Anger, I think. Was that it? It was terrible.
Something Praying sounds right.
Yeah.
I mean, The Sixth Sense is definitely like the birth of Shyamalan.
Yeah.
The director as we know him now. Just in case we were to get emails from one of our 4 listeners.
He also wrote Stuart Little, so I'll include that. That was a cute little movie. But yeah, I was a big fan of those 4 movies. I loved those actually, which is why I was so excited for Lady in the Water when it came out. I was like stoked. But Lady in the Water might be the most egotistical movie made by someone who's never heard the word no in his entire fucking life. I mean, all the way to M. Night casting himself as the genius writer in the movie. I mean, it's actually kind of hilarious how much of an egotistical movie this actually is. The actual desperation to create this new mythology of these Narf and Scrunt creatures. I mean, I sound like a fucking asshole just saying the names Narf and Scrunt. It sounds like the crack baby version of Tolkien or something. It's terrible. It's a terrible movie, like awful. Yet I find it kind of fascinating in a way. Like, you know how people find like The Happening fascinating now? They didn't back then, but for some reason people out there really like The Happening now for some reason. I don't know why. I find this one like The Happening. Like it's so bad, I find it somewhat entertaining because it's so fucking weird. It's definitely M. Night Shyamalan's worst movie though, like by far. And I'm counting Last Airbender in that list because I think this is worse than Last Airbender filmmaking wise and story wise. I'm not familiar with Last Airbender as a cartoon, so I really don't know how much he fucked up the mythology there. Probably a lot.
Last Airbender puts people who can, manipulate rock and earth into a prison where it's all rock and earth, and they don't think to, attack people.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode of Last Airbender. I couldn't really compare. I just thought it was just a boring fantasy action.
You would love the
movie.
cartoon. You would be so into it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out one day. It's been on my list for years. It's kind of sad that I've seen the Shyamalan movie before the cartoon, but hey, here we are. But yeah, I think everyone should see Lady in the Water at least once because it's just to see how fucking full tilt crazy M. Night Shyamalan is for that movie. Like, I saw a recent interview with him stating that if he had to like save, if his house was burning down and he had to save one or two movies, Lady in the Water would be the movie he saves. Which I don't get it, bro, but whatever. It's an oddly entertaining piece of crap that I think everyone should watch at least once, just once, and especially to see Paul Giamatti because Paul Giamatti's he's actually really good in it. It's just unfortunate he's stuck in such a weird, awful movie. But yeah, that's pretty much me for the week. I didn't really watch much, just a lot of TV for me too. I started I think what's it called, Tell Me Lies on Hulu, which is it's pretty good so far. I'm only like 3 episodes in, but I'm digging it so far. So that's me.
I can't recall the details, but is M. Night basically putting a lot more of his own money into his films now?
I think so.
I think he did with The Visit, but I don't think he has since.
I don't, because I think it seems like whatever you think of them, he's tended to do okay, like box office wise, in the last little while. And I mean, I agree with T. Those 4 films. It's been a while since I rewatched The Village, which I remember being disappointed with. But compared to the rest of his stuff, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable Signs in the Village are films I love. And the rest, I mean, you guys call me Kevin 7, but the ones I've rated top are Knock at the Cabin and Split, which both get a 6.
Fuck, I hated Knock at the Cabin. Oh, I hated Knock
as a 2
so much.
I mean, I gave The Visit 3 out of 10. I thought it was awful.
It was awful.
And
you were right.
After Earth was a 2 out of 10.
Was The Visit the one where the kid was like the rapper?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I remember that one now.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen
I can't believe he changed the end of Knock at the Cabin that stupidly. Oh, the crazy Christians were right. Suck it, LGBT people. Fucking hate that movie so fucking much. Anyway,
I thought not. I mean, I didn't really care for Knock at the Cabin that much. I thought it was kind of boring, but I thought it was at least somewhat better than Old, which I think is fucking terrible. So
well, everything's better than Old, except what I watched this week. I had a double shot of Night Shyamalan films, but they weren't both from him. The first one was from Ishana, his crotch goblin. Watchers. It sucks. So, it doesn't fucking matter what the title is. Don't watch it. It's trash. I can't believe anybody gave them money to make this. I guess he paid out of pocket for this one because it's fucking horrific. Like, it's not well done at all. I can't even believe that he allowed his name to be put on it. So I know it's his kids, but holy shit. Like, you should have just disowned her before this came out and pretended it never happened. It's fucking atrocious. It is unwatchable garbage.
I forgot I watched that this week too.
Yeah. See?
I did. Yes, it's bad.
Then I watched Trap. Trap sucks too. This stars his other crotch goblin, the singing artist Salika. And okay, I'm not gonna judge her songs. They're not my taste, but they sound pretty generic for the Spotify type pop. It's fine. She's a terrible actress. When she has to give lines, it is like she goes deer in the headlights, like she doesn't blink anymore, and her tone of voice, like all emotion disappears, and she starts talking like this, and they have her deliver a totally magic profile like this, and this is supposed to be like a tense scene, and it's just like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. Haley Mills is in it, totally wasted. Why the fuck is I know why Haley Mills is there. Kevin, how about you tell everybody why fucking Haley Mills is there?
Well, because, Dave, as you know, the premise is really about the feds and agents trying to trap a killer who's also a parent. And Haley Mills starred in The Parent Trap years ago, which is the only reason, because genuinely, I love Haley Mills, so I'm happy to see her in roles. But I don't know about you. I felt she would be too old for that role anyway.
She's too old for that role anyway. They should have gotten Lindsay Lohan if they're making that joke, but what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
And they don't even show her face. Like, she's the third name in the cast list, and they don't show her face for 50 fucking minutes. They keep showing her butt. Here's the back of Haley Mills. What the fuck? I know it's Haley Mills. You fucking told me it's Haley Mills.
That's a really stupid reason to cast somebody just because you have trap in your title, though. I mean, the plots aren't even the same. It's dumb. It's stupid.
I mean, well, that's the only reason I consider, because I believe Haley Mills is, I think she's like mid to late 70s now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, she's too old for this role. I'm sorry, but she just, she looks quite old and frail in certain scenes. Just like the only reason surely is M. Night thinking, nah, she starred in The Parent Trap.
Motherfucker. Okay. I adore Allison Pill in things, and she is totally wasted here. I think the little bit she gets, she tries to bring it, but it's so fucking dumb that it's just really fucking dumb, and nobody can make it work. But she tries, so I felt bad for Allison Pill. I will say, I think Ariel Donahue, who plays the daughter, and Josh Hartnett are both okay with what they're given. Like, Hartnett's obviously having a blast, so okay. Like, he's cheesing it up, and that's fine. I wish he went a little bit more over the top in spots, especially at the end. I just wish he was like a full woo, I wish he went full Boreanaz, but he doesn't. He stops at Dennis Hopper in Wicked Prayer instead of going the full Boreanaz. He needed to go the full Boreanaz, but what the fuck ever. He's fun. Ariel Donahue is fine. The movie sucks. Like, just don't bother with it. Why would you bother with it? Because you hate yourself. Like me. I hate myself, and that's why I bothered with it. So I thought I'm going to watch something that I think I remember liking, and I can show to my niece because I need something to clear this shit out of my mind. So we watched Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I love the book by Ray Bradbury. I love the book. How Disney just fucked that movie pretty hard. I mean, the movie's okay. It's not the worst thing. It's not the best thing. It's not as good as it could be. Like, it is not as good as the sum of its parts. I just learned you can see the original version at the University of Indiana. I think Indiana. At the Ray Bradbury Center. So, like, I need to take a road trip one of these days and get a chance to watch that. The one with the actual script by Ray Bradbury, not by, random ghostwriters changing it. So that was disappointing. And then I was like, I'm gonna watch Longlegs, because everybody was like, oh, Longlegs is so good. You gotta watch Longlegs. I don't know how to say this. Let me start with what I liked. I think most of the cast of Longlegs is very good. With what they're given, I think Micah Monroe is given a very tough character to play because she's not allowed to have a human emotion. And she just has to be this very weird, flat, both driving force and also totally unable to do anything character. So, like, I'm going to give her a lot of credit. I really enjoy Micah Monroe and things, and I think she does the best anyone can with this bullshit character. And it is a bullshit character who would never get into the FBI or anywhere where you had to, deal with, but whatever. That's fine. That's okay. Alicia Witt is fine. Like, she's not in it a lot, but when she's in it, she's really good. Blair Underwood, who doesn't fucking love Blair Underwood? Man should have had a much better career. He's good in his little bits. Nick Cage is absolutely horrific. Like, he is just terrible. I love Nick Cage when he's good, and he's not good in this. He's wearing shitty makeup where he looks like Tiny Tim. But, like, he's delivering, like, the laziest, most dull movie villain ever. I'm being creepy now. No, you're really not, Nick. You're being fucking goofy as shit. The story sucks. It obviously hates its audience because it treats you like you're fucking stupid. There's too much just lazy bullshit going on everywhere. Like, it literally makes everybody so fucking stupid that they get an obvious cipher. It's an obvious type. Like, just seeing it on screen, it's Vigna's cipher. He writes the fucking keyword on the back of the fucking cipher, and nobody can solve these for 30 fucking years because fuck you. That's why. He hides something under a giant fucking crucifix nailed to a floor that's bare, and nobody sees it for 30 fucking years because fuck you. That's why. I hated this movie. And then they gave people superpowers because fuck you. That's why. Just give me a good story, and they didn't. Instead, they gave me bullshit. They gave me insulting bullshit that thought I was a fucking idiot. Then it went on to telegraph everything so fucking hard that, like, I don't know how anybody got invested in this movie. And I know I'm on the outside with this one, but I just felt so frustrated by it that I was so happy it was over. And that ending was the dumbest bullshit I've ever fucking seen. I hated that whole last scene and then the cut back. Oh, fuck you. I liked Oz Perkins' other stuff, but, like, I hated this movie. This movie was just insulting, hateful bullshit. I was really hyped for it, and I was so let down. Disappointing is my keyword for this year, and this definitely sits at the top of my disappointed list. What a waste of talent and effort. It's well shot. It's decently edited. Why the fuck couldn't you have, worked on the script and delivered something that wasn't shit? But whatever. This week, we watched the English comedy coming-of-age drama, A Room for Romeo Brass, and the American drama Waves. I'm going to go first because I want to talk about Waves. It is the story of the Williams family. Tyler is a wrestler. I don't know what his dad did. Ronald is his father, and he's a tough taskmaster. His sister is Emily, and his mom, Catherine, is a realtor or a lawyer. His mom's a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Tyler has a level 5 slap tear in his shoulder, which he keeps from his family because, doctors in Florida don't talk to the family. Pain of lawsuit, but whatever. That he keeps from his family until he can no longer do anything. secretly taking painkillers and devolving into a cycle of misogyny and anger. When his girlfriend becomes pregnant, she becomes the brunt of his outrage. Okay. I think technically this is a well-made film. I think it's a little too self-indulgent and things. I mean, like, it changes aspect ratio like 5 times, I think. Maybe only 4. I didn't write down all of them. I didn't write down the last one because I didn't understand why they did the aspect ratio change there at all. Just like they were like, hey, we got to do it one more time. Here it is. And the other times it at least made sense because it was where things are supposed to be changing. The cast, well, some of the cast is excellent. The Tyler family is played by Kevin Harrison Jr., or the Williams family as Tyler. He was also in the director's previous film, It Comes at Night. Taylor Russell as the sister Emily is excellent, especially in the second half of the film. She gives a hell of a performance. Sterling K. Brown is always Sterling K. Brown is fucking brilliant. He can do no wrong, and he brings it every scene he's in. Renee Elise Goldsberry is another incredible, talented actress who gives a fantastic performance as the mom. The rest of the cast is, they're there. They're there. Okay, the rest of the cast kind of. Okay, so Tyler's girlfriend is played by Alexa. Is it Demi?
Yeah.
Okay, and she's not bad. She's just not given much to do. She's not a character. She is an object, and she's only ever looked at and treated as an object. So, I mean, her performance is fine, but she's only in a handful of scenes, and she's not a person. She is an object to either lust after or hurt. That's all she is. Lucas Hedges is absolutely atrocious. And part of the reason why the second half of this film is just garbage. But first I want to talk about the first half of the movie. And this is something I've said before in other reviews. Especially the last season of Stranger Things. I mentioned this and it upset a lot of people. So I'm going to broach this topic again. And it's going to upset a lot of people. And I'm not saying that people can't tell whatever story they want. You can. That's fine. But sometimes you should probably get another set of eyes to look at it. Because ultimately, this movie kind of doesn't work because of some racist stuff that's going on. The director, Trey Edward Shults, and I don't think he's a racist. I don't. But he sees the African-American family through a very white lens. And he doesn't see them as people. Tyler's never given a personality. He's never given any interiority. He is just angry. Sterling K. Brown gets no personality except he is an aggressive dad. They're not treated as people. There's occasional like little lip service to racism and just societal pressures on African American families, but it's not explored. They just like look at it and they point. Tyler's never given any interior because why do that when we can have a needle drop instead? It's a lot of, hey, I have African American friends, but like he doesn't understand their struggle and he doesn't help me understand their struggle. And this is all exacerbated when Tyler disappears from the narrative halfway through. Because of an event that happens, he is taken away. And what he does has no fallout. It doesn't mean anything. And that undercuts the character he does it to even more because it's he's gone. We don't have to deal with him struggling with it. We don't have to deal with his family struggling with it. And then they just become abuse dolls where more shit just happens to them. They're just trauma dolls to prop up this new white lead character. And the white lead character is given everything that the African-American characters aren't. He's given interiority. He's allowed to grow. His issues are allowed to be solved. And it's a problem. It feels kind of icky to me. Now, I know I look at this stuff a bit more than other people, so I'm not saying that like everybody needs to feel this way when they walk away from it. I'm sure a lot of people walk away from it feeling that they just watched a very compelling melodrama. But that's the problem. Ultimately, that's all it is. It's just trauma porn and melodrama. Nobody's really a character. Nothing's really resolved. There's no growth. It's all just kind of resolved at the end. And then we have the most aggravatingly manipulative montage to cap it all off. Look at these characters who aren't characters. We've only seen them once or twice before. Don't need to know their fucking names, but they're grieving, so let's exploit that twice. God forbid we actually deal with what they're going through. Hey, here's Tyler again. He's sitting in prison. Prison sucks. Here he is, staring longingly at the picture of the person he hurt deeply because she was just an object to him. Feel something. Fuck you. Do the goddamn work. Treat these characters as fucking people. Don't pull this lazy ass bullshit and make me fill in the blanks. I have no problem with a film that respects me, but this is crap. This is aggravating, mildly racist bullshit. And it could have been avoided. Hire an African American to look at your script. Get a fucking producer. Talk to your fucking actors more. But you didn't do that. You thought you knew better. And instead of delivering a strong drama, we got this melodramatic bullshit that's just emotionally manipulative with fucking needle drops.
While Tyler wipes away his tears once again, I've got to help you, T. I really liked Waves. I appreciated a choice from you that didn't cause me too much pain. I was worried at the start. There was just the constant sort of, there was a series of quick cut scenes. There was that soundtrack that kept on, the style. I thought, is it going to be style over substance again? Is that what we're in for? Is it going to be this way for 2 hours or whatever? But no, I really liked it. Yeah, I generally agree with Dave on the acting, but I mean, I also quite like Lucas Hedges. I don't mind him. I thought he's definitely, I would say, weaker compared to the others. But you've got Taylor Russell being sublimely good, and scenes with Sterling K. Brown just being great. So I think there's a high bar set there. I think Hedges does good in that role. I was, though, initially, the first half of the film plays out, and once again I'm like, it's a Tyler pick. Is it a bit racist? Is it going to be racist? How racist is this going to be? And obviously there is an element to this that certainly has a component with the race being used, I think, throughout the film. And Dave's right in that, other people could look over this and find better ways to treat the material and explore it. But I do think it also feeds in a positive way. The negative you get with Tyler, the character, it is a film of two halves, basically, is outweighed. I view Emily as the real creator of her own destiny and going forward. And because she's so strong a character and positivity comes from that, I really liked it. I thought it evened out. I thought it became more a film about his family unit and this one event. And the other way I disagree with you is with Tyler then being out of the picture. I think that is enough for the impact. I know what you mean in terms of there could have been more shown and consequences, but it feels like the one moment where things are delivered for his prison sentence and what's going on, and his removal from the family unit causes a lot of other conversations and thoughts. And then when you do have race used in the plot in the second half, it is, there's an initial meeting with Luke and Emily where I can't remember what he's saying, but she's immediately quite anxious and wondering, what he's meaning. Is he is he sort of referring to her as a young black woman? Is he referring to her as the sister of someone who's, in prison for a long time? And it turns out that he's referring to her as a young woman he quite likes. But that, it's little bits like that I think generally make it quite overall, I think, quite good in the way that just the demographic is used throughout the film with the different people, the main family, and how especially when it comes to Emily, how she feels others are viewing her, and how the family might feel others will be treated. I mean, even when when Tyler and his father have had an argument on that night where he goes out, when his father's out looking for him, they are more aware of any flashing blue lights, of any trouble going down, and what that could mean if Tyler's in the area before they know of anything that's happened. So I do quite like it. I do think it plays in quite well and gives it just this extra layer that works and feels justified throughout, rather than just being like I didn't view it as the trauma porn and the sort of meaningless stuff the way Dave did. But I do agree on the sort of the end montage bit wasn't really as impactful because yes, there are other characters you don't really spend time with and they're just shown. But I think it does really well for that move from Tyler to Emily, and that is a balance that gets really right. And you think you're going one way, and you get to that junction, but then you get to take another road, and you get to see, and in a way, you get to see similar questions asked by Emily, similar sort of decision crossroads, and where she is going, how she is about to approach, coming towards adulthood compared to how her brother did things. And if anything, the family unit is more strained for Emily as she's going through that stuff because of what has happened with her brother. And I really like it. And there are little moments with Sterling K. Brown and Renée Elise Goldsberry that are, they are made more tense and, heightened emotionally because of Tyler not being there in the picture, and I liked that. So yeah, overall, I really like this. There are definitely things to mull over, and how it was put together, and how it's all treated overall. But I think the balance is just right. I think the emphasis is on the story with the race of the characters. Like, this does play out, as we've seen, throughout movies over the past decades. Things can play out differently when police are involved or big decisions have to be made, when there is, one or a family of African American people at the heart of things, and they have to just think of that different perspective. And generally, I think Trey Edward Shults, keeps reminding people of that in a way that is a good reminder. So yeah, I liked it. I don't entirely disagree with Dave on some things, but I disagree with him on a lot of it. And it was a sweet relief that this wasn't just like mid-90s volume 2 or something.
So I think Waves is almost a near perfect film for me, and I think it's one of the absolute best A24 movies they've ever put out. For some reason, it's like never mentioned though. Like throughout the mention, like how big A24 is now, no one ever brings up Waves ever, which I think is a total shame. I think it's wonderfully shot. I absolutely love the way Trey Edward Shults structures and shoots this film. It's completely chaotic, but chaotic in a way that works so well for this story, especially the first half. The way the camera constantly moves and spins. I kept waiting for Zendaya to start narrating because this 100% feels like a long lost episode of Euphoria. Style, structure, content, everything. I think the cast is really good. I think Kevin Harrison Jr. is fantastic. Sterling K. Brown, Alexa Demi, who I fucking love in Euphoria. She's amazing in that. Taylor Russell, Lucas Hedge from mid-90s. I totally disagree. I think he's great here. I think this entire cast is excellent, actually. I have no issues at all with this cast. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, actually, I love the scene where Luke is trying to awkwardly get up the courage to ask Emily out for lunch. I love that little moment. It's a sweet little moment. I really like how the film is split into two halves without spoiling anything. A tragedy does happen midway through the movie, about like 50 minutes in, which leads straight into the second half portion of the film. But the lead up to that said tragedy, it leaves me sweating every fucking time I watch this movie. Even when I know it's coming, I'm like, please, God, don't let this shit happen. And it does. And it breaks my heart every fucking time.
It's actually an hour 10, so it's more than half.
Is it an hour and 10? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first half is paced really well. So it felt short, but that's almost the whole full length movie, actually. But yeah, I love the first half of this movie. But yeah, I even like when I know that scene is coming, because I've seen this movie a few times already. When I know it's coming, it still hits me just as hard every fucking time. It's such a brutally chaotic lead up with how the tension rises in the final act of that first story. I mean, the second half definitely takes a more somber approach to its style and topics like first love and forgiveness. There's a subplot in the last 20 minutes that does give me a slight case of PTSD. I've said it many times on this show, and you guys know I am not a fan of cancer subplots and used in entertainment. I think it's manipulative most of the time, almost all the time. But here it's used with a character that we really don't know. And it's the final minutes of a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. So it doesn't really bother me as much as it like a Walk to Remember or just one of those Nicholas Sparks movies. Those I hate. But if it's used in a movie where it's just to cap it off, I can deal with that because it's only like 20 minutes. But it works for the theme and the ending of this film. So it's fine. I think the movie is great. I think the soundtrack is fucking fantastic. Seriously, that soundtrack, man, it's so fucking good. I love the soundtrack. I think the entire cast is great. Like I said, yeah, I'm a big fan of Waves, and I really wish more people would check it out because it's definitely one of my favorite A24 films thus far. Is that me doing a
don't
room
stop there,
for...
man. Keep going, baby.
All right. So a room for Romeo Brass, which was picked by Kevin. 1999, right? 1999, I think it was.
Yeah.
After stopping 12-year-old Romeo and Gavin from being beaten up, Morrell drives them home and meets Romeo's adult sister and falls in love. The boys help him in his pursuit. You know what, guys? I think this might be my favorite Shane Meadows film that I've seen thus far. Granted, I've only seen This Is England and Dead Man's Shoes, but I think those are great as well. But this definitely takes my top spot within his filmography that I've seen. I thought this was pretty great. The tonal shifts are straight up fucking whiplash inducing, though. But I think that actually works in its favor for this film. It kind of starts as this cute, almost lighthearted coming of age boyhood movie. I mean, the first half is such a like a sweet portrait of childhood friendship, and I love it. And then it just switches gears and gets super dark and violent, almost hauntingly so at times. I mean, for the most part, the plot is your standard British kitchen sink drama, but it's gritty and raw in a very British drama kind of way. Yet it's never afraid to have some heart and a sweeter side to it. I mean, the cast is fantastic. All these young actors are so fucking good, and they're so believable. It's got some good side characters. It was cool to see Bob Hoskins show up for what, like 5 minutes playing that doctor. I didn't expect to see Bob Hoskins in this. He's awesome. But yeah, this was really, really good stuff, Kevin. Like, I'm so happy I finally sat down to watch it, because I don't know when the hell I would have ever gotten to it, but you've been recommending this for a long time, so I'm happy you picked it. But yeah, this was really good stuff. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a pretty strong snapshot of a time and place and group of people. Considine is brilliant, but when is he not brilliant? The rest of the cast is excellent. The only problem with the cast is when Shane Meadows puts on awful wigs and makes himself cameo in 2 scenes. It's 2 different characters. I'm just not going to talk about those, because those are very upsetting scenes to me, because they're horrific. And both of them make the characters seem terrible. I don't know why they're there, but they're there. It's decently shot. Again, it's one of the best of this era. There's a lot of those, slice of life films popping up, and this is definitely one of the best ones of that crop. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Not my favorite Meadows film. That's still going to be Dead Man's Shoes. But Considine's excellent. Both of the young actors, Andrew Shim and Ben Marshall, are fantastic. I don't know what else I don't know if either has been in much else after that. I think Shim.
I know. Yeah, I was going to say he was in This Is England.
This Is England. Yeah. Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I think he did MMA for a bit. I think I read that somewhere.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think he was in something else. He was in something else, and I'm totally brain farting on what it was. Oh, I remember. Did you see that Hungarian Meghan Markle film, Antisocial? He's in that. That's what it is. Let's not talk about that movie.
What?
Yeah. You haven't seen it? It's terrible. It's
the Hungarian Meghan Markle
yes,
film.
And it takes place in London. It's set in London, but it's made in Hungary by Hungarian money. A street artist has to get involved in a gang rivalry. It's terrible. I mean, you should totally watch it for your blog. Not for us though. Let's not watch that together, please. Ben Marshall is now a comedian. So there you go. No, that's a different Ben Marshall. Same age, though. That's weird. I Googled him. Nothing came up. But the kids are both really good. The adults are fine. They could be given a little bit. I will say I think most of the adult cast could be given a little bit more. Especially Knock's dad. Like, his scenes are fine, but just because of how strained the relationship is, I just think... they give Romeo's dad a couple of asides without Romeo there, and I kind of wish they did the same for the other side, But that's a minor quibble. It's solid. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I just, I had to pick this because otherwise didn't know when Tyler would get round to it, and sometimes just got to force that boy to watch films for his own good. I know it's not going to get a sweep because it's against a Tyler movie, but I'm happy enough that he's seen it. I, like many people, saw Shane Meadows movies when, I loved Dead Man's Shoes as soon as it came out. This Is England was great. I can't recall the other ones I've watched. Like, I've not watched loads of his stuff. I've still not watched 24/7 yet, and I've owned that for ages. There was the one with the two kids going about the town, Somers Town. That's good. So everything he does, I tend to enjoy. I've got the This Is England show box set. I've still never made time for that yet. But when I finally got round to A Room for Romeo Brass, this is the point I was making, sorry. It was after I'd seen other stuff from Meadows and I'd heard about this. I was already a fan of Paddy Considine, and this blew me away. I think the young lads are very good. There is a slight clumsiness to some of their scenes. Like, you can tell when they're, trying to be a little bit improvisational and slightly tripping over either sentences they want to blurt out or exchanges they want to have with one another. I noticed that more with Shim, actually, but with Ben Marshall, he's almost, I don't know, he's almost like, it's like he's stepped out of a children's film foundation film or a production of Oliver where he was an urchin for a while and he's enjoying being front and centre after those times being an urchin in the crowd scenes. Like, he's good. They have a different vibe, but that also makes them work as friends. It's very good. And obviously Marshall has the subplot where he has an issue with his back. They want him fixed. So I think maybe that's why I think of the Oliver urchin idea. Vicky McClure is the older sister in this, and she is much more recognisable to people nowadays for her work in Line of Duty, which is a big popular BBC thing, which I've never really watched. I've got a clip or two, but that's it. She was also in This Is England, but I think, nowadays everyone thinks of her as Line of Duty woman. And yeah, I mean, Considine is just a powerhouse, man. He's quite daffy and seems pretty harmless, and he doesn't. He seems really menacing, and then eventually you kind of think of him as it's a bit of a twat, really. Whether he will be menacing or not, you just realise he is quite a twat. And this feeds into I think most people in their lives at some point, I think we've been a kid and not spent time second guessing or wondering about the older kid that still hangs about, because that's where they can be like cock of the walk. That's where they can be a big fish in a small pond. Like, this really does well at that. It's that, it doesn't have to be, in a way, it doesn't have to be like too dark and dubious and dodgy in terms of just, somebody who's like getting on with a couple of kids and has helped them and then gets to know some of their family. But there's always that undercurrent of sort of danger, of it not really being quite right. So what's going on? And then when things do take a turn, it shows. It soon shows that Morrell is basically, he thinks he's the hero of his own story, but there's always a bigger story going on around him. And I think the finale of this is really fantastic in how it plays out and what it shows about these characters. Just really cuts to the quick, but that's it. It's easy to keep kids impressed or scared, or as your little slaves if you're just the one with the power as the adult. It's not so easy when you're in the company of other adults, particularly if you're trying to just mouth off and claim that you can do this, that, and the other, and then somebody can come along who would quite happily just put you through a brick wall. I like that idea. It's a pleasing notion. I think Frank Harper as Romeo's dad gets just enough scenes. I know what you mean, Dave, about the other dad, played by James Higgins, not getting much. I mean, the two mothers as well. Julia Ford is quite good as Gavin's mum, but she doesn't get much to do. Ladine Hall plays Romeo's mum. She doesn't get as much to do. It is very much about the boys, Considine, Vicky McClure's character, when she's caught up in it. And the dads are peripheral figures who are very different. And one's just there, but kind of like wallpaper in a way. And the other one is trying to be there, but has a past that at the very least puts him at a serious disadvantage for whatever he's been up to and what transgressions he may have committed. But it also puts him in a better position to be the one who could face up to somebody like Morrell. I think I've pronounced it different every time I've said it, for God's sake. So yeah, I love this. It's got a surprising amount of decent little tunes on the soundtrack as well. I forgot that the soundtrack's a pretty fun time. Looks decent. Like Shane Meadows has always managed to make the most of like whatever his budget and resources are. His films still, they don't look like big budget blockbusters, but they don't look like he's stuck in one room with one phone camera trying to get things done by any means. They always look good. They always have the right energy. And as Tyler said, I mean, this does sort of tonally turn in ways that can give you whiplash, but I think that really works well. So I'm glad it went down well with all of us, and would in any sane podcast get some kind of sweep, but will not here. But everyone should watch it.
I'm surprised you haven't seen LeDonk and Scorsese.
No, I haven't. Was that
mockumentary comedy with Considine? Yeah, like it's like right up your alley. That's why I'm surprised. That's all.
It's one of those I keep forgetting about. I think because just the title's so silly. Because isn't like Scorsese spelt really?
Yeah, but that's how he spells it. He's an actual rapper named Scorsese, and that's how he spells it.
All right.
Actually, LeDonk, the character started while they were working on this in some shorts that Meadows made. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's time to pick one. If you hadn't guessed, for me, it's definitely A Room for Romeo Brass.
It's Waves for me.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, it's A Room for Romeo Brass for me. But I did really like Waves, and who knows how things could have turned out in another episode. I mean, you would have still had Dave Rage, Tyler, but you never know if Craig had been here. No, in fact, Craig would have went for A Room for Romeo Brass.
Yeah, he would have.
We'd just be trying to appreciate to give him the sweep.
He would have. Look, my whole thing with Waves is they took the story of Tyler, all of his issues, then they pasted it on a white guy, but they let him work out his issues. They're exactly the same. That's problematic, man. It's a little too icky for me for an hour. I'm sorry.
Okay, I took it more as seeing the very similar path, but by way of his sister. Yeah. See, I never viewed that as his story. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, like I get your points. I do. It's just I just couldn't go along with it. I couldn't. The whole thing just felt wrong to me. And again, I don't think anybody can tell the story they want to tell. I just wish folks were a bit more aware when they're, because it just feels like unconscious. I don't think they're racist. I don't think Tyler's racist for picking it. I know Tyler's not. I might be a little unconsciously, and I hate myself for that, but you never know.
I have a theme of just picking really icky racist movies. Apparently, I don't even know.
I totally would have taken mid-90s Part 2 over that one. That's how much I disliked it. But again, media, different people read things differently, and that's the whole point. If we agreed on everything, we wouldn't still be sitting here after 7 years. Jesus Christ. Okay. Next week, it's a double dose of Dave because Craig's not here to pick, so suck it. I'm going with the indie sci-fi classic Resolution and the 1968 Yakuza film Kill! !
We're on the gram, Raiders_of_the_podcast. We're on Facebook, where I sometimes remember to post stuff on Wednesdays. Kevin beat me to the punch this week. I had a Waves pictures ready to go, and he just came swooping in with Romeo Brass. But it's okay, because I like that movie too. It's fine. We have a YouTube channel where you can like, subscribe, and comment on Kevin's awesome videos weekly. And you can always email us at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com.
As always, thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for listening. Go see A Room for Romeo Brass. I mean, you can watch Waves too.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.